Welcome back to Thinking Green. So we've had a switch, and now I'm joined by Susan Munger, who's the Master Gardener Coordinator at the UConn Extension
for New London
for
County.
London County, which is located in Norwich, right?
Yes, the Extension Center's in Norwich, yep.
And partly, we're all thinking it's spring, so gardening
Believe me,
is on everyone's mind. But there are also some really interesting programs coming up that we want to publicize.
Yeah.
So,
well, I thought I would like to talk a little bit about the Master Gardener Association annual symposium. In the past, they've done it up in is it Mansfield Community College, a beautiful facility. But I understand that because of tight budgets and all, they're not open on the weekends anymore. So people scrambled and decided to hold it at Connecticut College.
Which is fantastic.
I think it's a wonderful idea. I know they're hoping to draw in Master Gardeners from the Rhode Island program as well, because they have a very active program. But I thought it would be fun to talk about it a little bit tonight on Thinking Green, because I was kind of intrigued by some of the speakers that they have. This is the season for garden conferences. Everywhere you go, there are garden conferences going on. But this one has a nice slant to it that I think might be of interest to greener people. We're all green. One of them is called Native Edible Wild Plants Suitable for the Home Landscape.
Oh my gosh.
It's sort of an intriguing title. And he talks a lot about he cites this fellow Doug Tallamy, who wrote a wonderful book, Bringing Nature Home, about the importance of having native plants to provide food sources for native insects, which are food for native birds, and so on up the food chain. So that one was pretty interesting, I thought.
But he was talking about edible things as well.
Yes, and he's talking about edible wild plants. Now, I'm not sure where we go to find the edible wild plants, but
maybe after the conference.
We'll know, yeah. And then there's another one called Growing a Wild Garden, Romantic, Sustainable, Sensible Design. And the speaker for that one is a woman named Nancy DeBrule. Some people may know Nancy. She has a garden center called Nature Works down near New Haven, and Nancy speaks a lot, and she's just high energy, but she really promotes a lot of the native plants. And the description reads, inspired by the Dutch wave of landscape design, most specifically Piet Oudolf. I think I've got his name sort of right. He's a Dutch landscape gardener, and if you look at his website, it's full of these nice images of where the native plantings, where there are a lot of grasses and wildflowers. You could do it for your front lawn, or you could do it if you had part of your property you didn't want to do a lot of high maintenance work on. So those are two really interesting speakers, I think, that are addressing this whole concept of sustainable landscaping.
Now, when you mentioned the Dutch design, did it have anything to do with the Highline landscaping? It seemed to me they did have a Dutch landscaper working on part of it, but I'm guessing it would be on his website.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I know they have something similar in France. There could have been something French. No, but I know he's going to be in the United States doing tours. If you go to his website, you see quite a lot of things. I think one is on sedges or something. I mean, you could go and see some of these really beautiful designs. And then they have the art of vegetable growing, and a fellow named Larry Weiner, who is often on the lecture circuit for garden things, but and similar types of concepts of reducing the amount of high-maintenance lawns and exotic trees and shrubs that may not do well here, that kind of thing.
And even if they do well in some ways, they're not necessarily good for our ecosystem.
Yeah, oftentimes the flowers or the fruit, the birds may eat them, but they're not necessarily nutritious for them. So it's good to have the things that have evolved together over the years. So I should say when it is.
Yes, how people can register.
Okay. The conference is on Saturday, March 19 at Connecticut College. It'll all be in Crozier-Williams, which is kind of nice. It'll be all in a contained space. There will be exhibitors there. It's, if you're a master gardener, it's $65, and if you're not, it's $85. And the fee includes lunch plus the usual coffee and stuff when you get there. So it's pretty much of an all-day event. 9 to 4, I think, is about what it does.
So yeah, it is a pretty total experience.
Yeah.
I noticed you can register online, and when I was looking it up this afternoon, if people are interested, you should register soon, because I noticed that some of the breakout sessions were full.
Oh, really? You saw that already? Oh, that's interesting.
So,
I didn't know that. Yeah.
It costs a little bit more to register online. I think they add a $3 service fee for the credit card processing. But when you get to pick your sessions, you can see which ones are full and which ones aren't.
Huh. Now, I think the way they do it, they offer all the sessions twice. So some people go to a session in the morning and sometimes in the afternoon. They found that that worked better than having, twice as many sessions where some just weren't of that much interest, so they tried to focus on.
That sounds like a wise idea.
Yeah, I think it makes good sense. So I don't know if some of them are full both morning and afternoon or not. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't really delve, and because where the listing was where it was full, they didn't even tell you what you missed. It just said full.
Full. Okay.
So I couldn't even exactly cross-reference.
Yeah.
But I guess if a person had the brochure in front of them, it wouldn't be that hard to figure out what was. Most were still available, and I think the registration goes through March 7th.
Yeah. Now let me see. I did bring this too because I wasn't sure I could remember it myself, and I think they will accept walk-ins. So if the last minute you wanted to go, the same fee would apply, and yes, you would get the lunch as well.
You would get the lunch, and you just might have less variety of sessions you can choose.
Right, yeah. So if you, the website, if you wanted to go and find the information and register online, it's www.ctmga.org, Connecticut Master Gardener Association. So www.ctmga.org, and you'll find the program and everything there.
And it does sound like a great day.
I think it's good. I'm excited about it. Of course, I like the fact that it's right in my neighborhood, but I think they've got some interesting speakers. One of the keynotes is on bulb forcing for beginners and the seriously smitten. And he's written a book, I think, with the same title. So if you're into bulb forcing, that's a good thing. So, I think
that sounds great.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we actually have a list of events coming up. And we noticed that, when there was an article in the day paper about this symposium, there was also an article about hops growing. And
that, I'll tell you, that article generated more interest. I can't believe it. I had all these emails today from people and phone calls. It's quite astonishing. I got the idea. What we do, we Master Gardener coordinators, we arrange for anywhere from maybe 3 to 5 short programs in the spring and in the fall. And by short, they're usually 2 hours. Sometimes they stretch over longer hours or even over a few days. And they're open to the public, as is the symposium. The symposium is open to the public. And so we pick all, I mean, the topics are all over the place. The 3 that I'm doing are on GMOs, container gardening, and growing hops, so you can see something for everybody. But yes, the article on growing hops really sparked a lot of interest. Clearly, I mean, there's a lot of home brewing going on. And
there is. It seems to be growing all the time.
Yeah, and there's a real market for hops, which I'm starting to learn is not that easy to grow. The instructor is a woman who works at the Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station, and she's working on growing hops in Connecticut.
Now, historically, some hops were
Oh, yeah.
were grown in Connecticut.
Oh, yeah, everybody grew hops because everybody grew beer. I mean, they didn't drink water as much. They beer and cider and all. So, yeah, but I don't know why I think probably large breweries and maybe conditions in other parts, certainly of this country, were more amenable to growing hops. So Katja Maher, the instructor, will be talking about growing varieties of hops for Connecticut, for New England, and some of the issues that hops growers face.
Well, I have to tell you, Oregon,
Yes.
I don't know if it's still growing a lot of hops,
yeah.
but used to grow a ton of hops, very tall trellises.
Yeah.
But I think it's typical if you try to grow something in Connecticut that's used to growing in that Pacific Northwest climate, our summer humidity can be a real problem.
Yes, I think the humidity is a problem, and it may lead to diseases that aren't encountered in the Pacific Northwest. So apparently you need quite a tall trellis. Hops are one of these plants that I guess they're a little tricky to grow, but if they like it, they're very aggressive and they grow very vigorously. And you have to pick the hops at exactly the right time. I'm learning a lot about hops. I'm not an expert by any means, but as I say, a lot of people have called in about the class, so.
So when and where is the class, and are there still spaces available?
Well, I added up all the people who have contacted me today or who have already mailed in to UConn, and it's just about at room capacity. Now, I don't know if everybody is going to come through with signing up, but I think what I'll probably have to do is start a waiting list, and just see how it goes over the next few days. The class is on the 12th, Saturday the 12th, so it's not far away.
Is there any time limit for, any deadline for registering it, or at a certain point are you just going to be relegated to the waiting list?
We always put in a deadline, which everybody ignores, which is pretty much true for everybody trying to run
Yeah, I think that's typical.
Usually, as I get close to the deadline, I'm really calling around frantically and saying, don't you want to sign up? Come on, sign up. This time, thanks to Judy Benson's wonderful article in the Day, I've been getting so many calls, and the room isn't that big. So I'm going to, in fairness to people, I can't have standing room only.
Right.
You couldn't hear or see or anything. So as I say, I'm really at capacity now if everybody who's expressed an interest signs up, but then again, they may not. So I'm going to be sort of juggling a lot of issues over the next week or so.
So if someone wants to sign up, what should they do?
Okay, the best thing is to just give me a call or send me an email at the Extension Center. So it's Susan Munger, and my phone number is 860-885-2823. And my email is susan.munger@uconn.edu. And I'm only there 2 days a week, so if I don't get back to people right away, that's why.
You're not ignoring them.
I'm
you
not
just only
ignoring
check
them.
your email twice a week.
Yeah, yeah.
So that sounds really interesting.
I think it'll be really interesting. I really hope that some of the people who come will really go ahead with starting to create a hop yard. And I think the instructor will certainly be a resource for people to go to afterwards, because she is working on hops growing for the experiment station, and that's, you know, part of her job as well.
Now, is the station up in stores, or is
no, she's at the Windsor station. The main one is in New Haven, but there's also one up in Windsor, and that's where she is. And she has a hop yard started there. There was a picture of it in the article.
So how tall have her hops gotten?
They didn't look that tall. She may be, you know, putting the trellises up higher as they get bigger.
I know Bob tells stories of seeing 30-foot trellises in Oregon when he was growing up, and you know, it took a hardy person to pick hops.
Well, yes, and apparently you have to do it pretty quickly. When they're ripe, they're ready to go. So yes, we could create a lot of jobs if we really get serious about this. I tried growing hops a few years ago at the Shaw Mansion, because of course they grew them in colonial times, and we have the root cellar there, which, you know, looks sort of like a Quonset hut or something. And I thought it would be fun to grow hops up over the root cellar, but I never could get them to take. So there you have it.
And I'm sure at one point we have a Brewer Street right there. There must have been breweries in downtown New London, you know, a couple hundred years ago.
You know, I wonder if there's anything in Joshua Hempstead about growing hops. I don't remember seeing anything. What?
There's hops at the houses.
Oh, I am told there are hops at the Hempstead houses, but
There could be, yes. I think I have heard that. Yes, I should go check them out, Yeah, so that was the other thing. I thought maybe people who are tending historic period gardens might be interested. I think a couple of people might be coming for that reason.
That sounds great. And, you know, this is a little bit different but related. One of the many spring offerings about gardening is on March 18th, there's a conference for home gardeners up in Storrs, in UConn, the Lewis Rome Commons. And that's an 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Conference. And I am not sure exactly where I found the information. I was just kind of, maybe it was part of the events listed, the total events list on the Master Gardener website.
It could have been, yeah, something
but
like that.
That also looks interesting, and the registration, that's $90 a person, and they do 25 for students, and they are going to take walk-ins if they have space at a little bit higher cost. And that's about, you mentioned container gardens, organic pest control, uncommon plants. So tis the season.
It is, yep, it really is. And then in another month or so, it'll be garden sales, plant sales everywhere. So, but you know, I've been doing a lot of pruning lately, the past week or so, maybe not as long as that, but a lot of things, a lot of shrubs, they recommend pruning in the winter, late winter, early spring. And I've been pruning stuff. Some things are really growing. I mean, they're leafing out.
Yeah,
it's
they're
very
prominent buds on a lot of. It's
yeah.
been a very straight. I hope we don't have a real cold snap coming
I hope we
up
don't.
because that's really the killer if it gets warm and then cold.
Yeah. It's been a weird winter, I must say.
It has. We had one cold weekend.
One very cold weekend.
One very cold weekend.
Yeah.
Well, we only have, we have about 7 or 8 minutes, but, or maybe not that much, but we wanted to talk also about something coming up more in the future in June. For the past, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years, Susan and I have been leading walks for Connecticut Trails Day weekend in New London, and I think we did Riverside Park first, and then we looked around State Pier Road and
Yes.
Fulton Park, and then last year we went to Bates Woods.
Yeah.
So we have different plans for this year.
We
Maybe
do.
you can talk about that.
Okay. Well, Connecticut Trails Day is a Connecticut-wide event where people go and walk in the woods in various places. And since we're a small city and we're not heavily wooded, we were trying to think where we should do it. And we decided that Mitchell Woods would be a nice place to go. I had walked through Mitchell Woods, I think at Christmas, and I was very impressed with the work that they have done recently. They've gotten rid of a lot of the invasive vines and cleared some of the paths, put in some nice paths with gravel and wood chips and all. And there's some beautiful not magnolias, rhododendrons in there, huge, full of buds. So it's going to be really beautiful this year. So we talked with Mitchell College, and they really like the idea of having the walk there. It belongs to Mitchell College, but they want people to appreciate it and walk through it. So I think it'll be a nice event.
And they do have some big plans. I don't remember how long ago it was that Chad Frost did,
That was last summer, I think. Yeah.
did a presentation of some really major plans to restore some places, to develop some places, to let some places go native wild.
Yeah. Up at the Ocean Avenue, the woods goes from Montauk Avenue to Ocean Avenue. And at the Ocean Avenue end, there's an area that I guess had been a meadow, and they're going to keep it open, probably cut out some of the shrubs and things that are taking over in there, and keep it kind of a meadowy habitat, which will be nice for certain kinds of wildlife.
That will be nice.
Yeah.
So Connecticut Trails Day weekend is the weekend of June 4th and 5th, and the walk will be on Sunday, June 5th, probably like 1 to 2:30 or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people know it, but the Drop-In Learning Center moved its operations when the Second Congregational Church was closed, was sold.
Is that when it was?
They moved from that site on near the downtown down to Mitchell College, the old children's lab school.
Yeah.
And they're happy to have it open. So if people want to walk through the Mitchell Woods, but also look and see what's happening at the Drop-In Learning Center.
That'll be nice,
It's a nice, old, neat building.
Really, it looks nice. I've never been in it, yeah.
So we can do some outdoor stuff and some indoor stuff as well.
Yeah, that'll be really nice. I suspect that we'll have somebody joining us from Mitchell College to
I hope
talk some
so.
more. Yes.
The response we've gotten from Mitchell College has been like more than positive. It's been enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic, yeah.
And I think they do really want to showcase what they're doing, and it seems more than any time since I've lived in New London, they really want to show themselves as part of the community.
Yeah, they seem to. It's a really nice asset for the city. I've noticed that the tennis courts look really nice. I think they must have, a few years ago, maybe they had some money to fix them up, and sometimes not at this time of year, but they do seem to get used. And there is that playground adjacent to the entrance, and I know that there's some plans for that, and I don't remember.
Yeah, I was curious about that. In fact, when I worked at Lawrence Memorial Child Care Center, we used to walk the kids in this big cart, and sometimes we'd go there. Well, I'm told we have 1 minute left.
Okay.
So maybe just give very briefly the symposium info so people could sign up.
Okay. This is the Connecticut Master Gardener Association Symposium. It's open to the public. It will be on March 19, all day, 9 to 4, something of that sort. And it will be at Connecticut College this year, which is a first. It will be in Crozier-Williams. I guess the college is on break at that time. And they've got a really nice lineup of speakers. And if people are interested in more information, they should go to the website www.ctmga.org. That's Connecticut Master Gardener Association. And it's open to the public. Anybody can go.
Yeah, and it's a great lineup.
Yeah.
And I think we're out of time.
Oh,
so thank you, Susan.
Okay,
and next week, my guest is going to be Laura Cordes from Alliance Descent to End Sexual Violence.
Very good.
So we'll see you then.
Nice to see Laura. Okay.